I'm Mark Callion, Mr. Saltwater Tank, coming to you on behalf of SaltwaterAquarium.com, and this is Mr. Saltwater Tank, RUF, Raw, Uncut, First Impressions, the show where I call it as I see it with products that I haven't seen before. Today, we're taking a look at the AI Orbit Pump. If you've been in the saltwater tank hobby long enough, you've seen this and you go, wait a minute, that's a gyre. And you're not wrong. This is licensed from mass spec to mass spec gyre, so it may look familiar in that regard. So, it's gonna have a couple things that any gyre will have. You've got two propellers here. Now in the smaller version, you can take one of these off and just operate it singly, which is cool if you have a smaller tank. You can run the pump forwards, you can run it backwards to create a little different flow pattern. Now, one thing that I'm noticing right away is that this mount, it's got magnets in here for you to couple it with the mount onto your tank, but this whole thing's like rubber. So if there's any vibration, it shouldn't get transmitted through the glass onto your stand, which can then, make noise. So that's pretty cool. It has a controller, which this is where I'm gonna focus with this review, because here's the thing that I've found with gyres. There are a couple different types out there, different companies have licensed them and made them, but the big differentiator to me is going to be interface, specifically with the software, but not everyone's a tech person. So it has a wired in controller, which look familiar. Those of you who have a Nero pump are familiar with that. Press it, turn it on, change modes, change intensity. So that's super simple if you're not a tech person. That being said, where I'm looking for this thing to stand out from other gyre pumps is the software. Look, I'm happy first that it has a simple to use controller, because of my experience with other gyre controllers with the turn wheel and the modes, even though I read the manual, I still couldn't make sense of it. I never knew what it was doing or when it was gonna do it. I am looking for the control that AI should give me either through the Mobius app, my AI app, or the MXM box onto your Neptune Systems Apex. So I really want to see what kind of control I can get out of the sound of the software, because that's where this thing should really shine. So that being said, those of you wondering about flow, there's no flow specs. Strange. We can deduct though that the mass spec gyre, the big one, gets about 4,000 gallons per hour. So the Orbit 4 is going to give you about 4,000 gallons per hour. The Orbit 2, the smaller one, is going to give you about 2,000 gallons per hour. Okay, the Orbit's in the tank, plug it in, hit a button, it starts spinning. So if you're no tech person, super simple. But this is a tech product, I want to see that software. This is AquaIllumination's an AI product, so I'm going to use the My AI app. If you're a Mobius person, it will work with that. If you're a Neptune Systems Apex user, you have the MXM box, it will work with that too. Let's try to add it to the My AI, see how this goes. I'm going to this blind. Now I will say, there's a nice QR code in the box, which is cool, so you can scan that, you can download all the instructions, see how to use it, and there's a quick start guide as well. All right, so we're adding a pump or an AI light. There's the pump. Next, it's going to check the firmware, see if I need to update anything. Of course, it has to update. Let's work with the schedule. See how easy this is to set up. We're gonna edit this. So we have constant speed, we have random, we have pulse, and we have feed. So let's just throw random in here. I can drag to expand it. That's super simple. I like that. If you want to be more precise with your time, you have this, so we can go forward, just slide over there in reverse. That's super simple. Minimum speed, maximum speed, variance, high variance, low variance. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. This is simple to use. It's all touchscreen. I don't have to use any controller if I don't want, in the sense of messing with a dial and trying to understand modes. I can set times. I mean, this is what I've been looking for a gyre. Let's go look at it in Mobius and see what we get and see what it's like for that user experience. We can check our flow rates. Let's go to medium, activate this thing, and then let's go in there and see what we get. So same kind of thing, constant speed, random, pulse, or feed. Let's throw the random over here and go from here. I can go forward, I can go back. I can set my time with the Wheel of Fortune, dial here, minimum speed, maximum speed, and then variance, low, medium, or high. Done, save it, it's programmed. At this point, I still like what I see. Whether it's the My AI app or Mobius, this is super simple to use. I have no experience with this thing. Set it up, I can set a schedule, it's easy to set times. Look, Would it be nice if there was something different between constant speed, random, pulse, and feed? Yeah, I'd love to see some other type modes like, you know, look, the Vortex, they call them Reef Crest, Lagoon. So some other modes would be nice. The nice thing is this is software, so if Ecotech AI rolls that out in software, you should just update the app, or the app updates automatically and you have more modes. So I'll give it that. Would like to see a couple different modes, but I can live with it. So let's go in and add it to my MXM box on my tank, and let's play with it inside of Apex Fusion. We're gonna jump into configuring the orbit inside of Neptune Systems Apex Fusion. Remember, you need an MXM box to do this. You need that module added to your Apex before you can configure it. But let's jump into it, look at it from the Fusion side of things. New tile up here, that is going to be the orbit. Comes up right here. I'm gonna drag it onto my control panel here, and then we're just gonna click on the gear to configure it. I'm gonna pop up and say, hey, this is just a sample configuration. This is a nice graph, and I can choose constant, random, or pulse. Variance in terms of how random is it, what's my minimum intensity. Save that, it updates, and the pump is gonna update. This is where it gets super simple. Let's say 5 in the morning, I want things to start ramp up. At 5 o'clock, I can just drag it here. And at 5, I'm gonna change the mode to constant's fine, okay. We're gonna leave that, and then let's say 8 o'clock, I want a lot of flow. That's gonna be random though. We're gonna set the minimum intensity to 50. The variance, we want a lot of variance, so 100, and then done. And then I'm gonna come over here and let's say, oh, about 5 o'clock or so when I come home, I want that to be just a little bit different in terms of what it's gonna do. Constant at 19%, that's fine, I can go up or down. All this is super simple. 8 o'clock, we're gonna ramp things up again into a random mode with minimum intensity of 40. And then at night, down here at about 10 o'clock, we're gonna go to a constant slow speed. So do that, save it, super simple. That's what I wanna see. This is making me much happier, much more likely to run the gyre. In fact, I'm gonna leave this thing in my tank. Even though it has a cord in it, I like the Vortex look of no cords. I'm gonna play around some more with these flow settings because you do get some different flow patterns, like be able to run the pump in reverse that you don't get out of a Vortex. That's gonna be useful in my tank, especially in that drop off, because I like to pull some flow up from the bottom and also push it down. But so far, this is one of those products that they're not getting back. Ken at home office is gonna be like, we're gonna send it back? Like, no, I'm not. I'm keeping this thing, one, because I wanna fiddle, two, it's now super simple to use to actually harness the power of the gyre and really make it do what I want, because between my AI, between Mobius and Neptune Systems Apex Fusion, this is the interface I've been looking for. I'm finally happy to use a gyre pump.